Hi, you guys. Welcome back. My name is Carrie Penny. I am the Happy Crafty Homemaker. And today we're going to be discussing Red Heart Roll With It Tweed. Comes in a cake. It's all cute. A lot of very bright colors. Interesting colors. Let's see. This one is Berry Blush. This one is Neon. And the two cakes that I worked with for the purpose of review are Violet. So this is a 100% acrylic yarn, US size 4, 150 grams, 296 yards. They recommend 2 balls for a scarf. US size 9 hook, 5.5 millimeter, and a US size 8 needle, 5 millimeter. Machine wash, 86 degrees Fahrenheit, no ironing. Say machine wash cold, gentle cycle, tumble dry low. Do not use bleach, do not iron, do not dry clean. Anyway, so that's what the ball band looks like. What I made. Now, I do have enough left upstairs of this to make at least one baby hat, if not 2. That's 2 little balls. One's about that big and one's about that big. But a little goes a long way. I was very impressed with. It didn't go as far as like the mandala tweed did. That has a little bit more yardage to it. But it still went. Two cakes got me a granny square hat. One of the Granny Stitch raw scarves, a Hill 60 hat, a washing swatch, plus enough to make at least 1, if not 2, baby hats. Now the mandala tweed, I got a Hill 60 hat, a cowl, the Granny Stitch hat, and the Granny Stitch scarf. But there is a yardage difference between those yarns. Let's see, mandala tweed stripes was 426 yards per cake. So there is a yardage difference between them. Obviously, we're starting kind of some of the comparative review stuff here. Next week, we should hopefully have the Premier Candy Shop ready to go. And I can spend a little bit more time discussing that one individually. And then the following week, we'll have all 3 completely discussed together. But, yeah. I actually really liked working with this yarn. It is very, very soft. It's very lofty. So as part of this comparative review, we're doing one project where the hook size is smaller than recommended, uniform across all 3. This actually is using a size H and a size 7 hook. One hook that is the recommended size. This was actually, the whole thing started with one of you guys asking me if I would review the mandala tweed stripe. And she's a crocheter, and she was primarily concerned with how does it crochet. And because I had so much leftovers, I did a Hill 60 hat with that. So I did carry that on. And this is using a size 7 needle. So, not the recommended size, but only one smaller. And on mandala tweed, I think this one was a 7. Yeah, the recommended size on mandala tweed was 7. So, Roll With It Tweed was incredibly lofty and light to work with. It is not quite roving. Ooh. I don't have a... I've, of course, left my scrap balls upstairs. It's not quite a roving style, but it feels like a roving style. Each ply is very, very loosely spun in contrast to the mandala tweed. This is very, very loosely spun and then has a medium twist to the final yarn. So it does give a very lofty texture while you're working with it. This, after washing it, I have to say it fulls significantly. So you could get away going up almost to a K hook, I think, and not getting solid stitches, but after washing it, it kind of expands into the stitches a little bit. So I really enjoyed working with it. I thought it was fine. I mean, these are all three straight off the needles. And you can see it's not a tight texture, but it's not a loose texture. It's a nice standard worsted weight yarn. That's the word I'm looking for, yarn. It gives you a nice solid stitch even without washing it. No blocking, just straight off the needles. I had zero issues with splitting, and it's the nature of the way it is spun and the fact that because each ply is so loosely twisted, they kind of, not matte or felt, but they stick together. They Velcro together very nicely. So I had zero issues with splitting in this yarn, and I worked from the center out and the outside in on this yarn. Same thing as with mandala tweed. I tried that both ways and still had a bunch of splitting. I had zero splits with this one, even using the size 7 hook, which I mean, if you've ever done like a larger worsted weight with a size 7 hook, the shifts aren't nearly as smooth as like the mandala tweed. It's less of a tweed effect, more of a striping effect. But it's not, I mean, with the crochet, it's a little bit more jumped, where you've got like the more high contrast color shifts. But it's not an unpleasant shift through the other ones. Mandala tweed also had one set of colors. When you went from this blue out into the purples, you have a very high contrast jump, whereas the gold feeds into a deep blue. The deep blue becomes purple in the aqua. You had much more transition through here, and then it jumped into the lighter color there. It still gives you a striping effect. Like I said, this last week, this was actually 2 different colors. This is the orange with the purple, and this is the more amber, like this is the red orange. This is the more amber orange, and the purple slides up, but you had a quick transition from the white from the orange, which gave it more of a stripe. So that one's a little bit more subtle, especially noted in the knitted version. You can see this is what I was talking about with the teal jump into the purples down here. You had very similar effect with some of these deeper colors transitioning, but it's not an unpleasant effect. It's just a little bit more abrupt than what we saw in the mandala tweed stripes. Especially in something like this, I think it all blended beautifully. I was impressed. I'll just leave it at that. I was impressed. I thought it was pretty. The almost felted feel makes it feel a lot more solid than the mandala tweed did. It feels more stable. I had 0 splits, 1 knot, and 2 cakes. Yeah, so same deal as last week. This one actually has more gentle care instructions than the mandala tweed had, but I still threw it in with the permanent press. Mine was a little bit hotter than what was recommended. these blips here are actually where I had ends tied in, not the yarn falling apart. So it does have a halo washing it in permanent press. Like I said, mine's at 90 degrees, I believe. I've got mine set to a lower temperature than permanent press normally is. And I threw this through the washer and through the dryer. I did not lie flat to dry. This just went in with a batch of clothes. No towels, no jeans, just soft cotton wear. So it's got less halo overall than the mandala tweed had. This will still pill over time, but it's not. This one I felt like this was going to pill like within 2 or 3 wearings. I mean, it's very, very soft after it's washed, but that's a lot of fuzz. This one just kind of fulls and fuzzes. More than I would care to see, but I didn't follow the care instructions on this. I literally just threw it in the washer and dryer. So if this is something like a hat or a scarf, you're not really going to get a whole lot of pilling except from washing it. It's not being rubbed and jostled as much as like a garment would. I would still say this is probably accessories only, no garments. Sorry. Allergy season has started, you guys. Overall, I liked this one better. I can see more practical applications, like I said, with accessories for this. It held up reasonably well being washed improperly. I was able to do a larger swatch of this one because I did have more left over than what I had at the mandala tweed. Like I said, this was my biggest scrap of mandala tweed. I need to keep that with it. 3.5. I'm a little concerned by the halo. I mean, that's a lot of. See if I've got a. Maybe you can see that a little bit better. Well, that's just hair. That's not fuzz. But the work, like the pleasure in working this is much higher than the mandala tweed. I really enjoyed how this felt on my hook. I enjoyed how it felt on my hands. The finished objects are squishy. They feel a little bit denser than some of the other yarns I've used, but not heavy dense. When you're wearing them, touching them, playing with them, they feel thick. And I think that's where the yarn, when I washed it, as with the other one, this is a single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet. This was an eye hook. So if we come down here to the double crochet, you see how fluffy the yarn looks in the stitches. This is the same hook unwashed. So washing definitely changes the texture of it just a little bit, but straight off the hook, I mean, these are very warm feeling, very dense feeling. This shows me, because this feels less, the fabric feels less heavy, less dense. It's definitely a lot floppier. But the yarn expanded and folded into the stitches. So it's probably not quite as bad if you follow the care instructions, but I wanted to keep these kind of apples to apples as far as how they're working, not how you should do it. I enjoyed the texture of this a lot more on my hook and needle. I would be cautious about what you make with it. Like I said, anything that's going to get or have to be washed constantly, or anything that's going to be rubbed heavily, I do think this would pill. But that's the nature of using the more roving. Yeah, even as I rub it, you can see there's a natural halo on the yarn even before you wash it. But care is everything for something like this too. I love roving style yarns, but that is the drawback to them, is you can't. The sun just came out. It's been raining again for like 2 days straight, and now all of a sudden it just got sunny. Um, Roving style yarn, it has that lighter texture anyway. Each yarn using that is going to full and then felt, or full and then pill, depending on the fiber content. So if you're aware of that going in, that's not really a problem. You know already not to make a sweater out of that. Now this, if you would washed it delicate cold, probably would not have fuzzed as much as it did. This is using permanent press at 90 degrees in a permanent press dryer with a bunch of clothes. So I would definitely recommend this. I think, like something like Rel's Yvette shawl would be stunning in this yarn. It's very similar to the Hobie cookie that I used, except this one is 100% acrylic. Actually, cookie might be 100% acrylic. That's what I used to make my Yvette shawl, was the Hobie cookie. And this is a very similar kind of yarn. So obviously it would work very well for the pattern I already used it for, basically. This one is a very straightforward plying. It's a 3-ply yarn. It transitions the colors through the ply. Each ply changes color as you go. There's nothing fancy or interesting in the construction of it. It's a straightforward changing yarn. Like I said, I had one knot to cut out. So yeah, this is definitely, whereas the mandala, I would say, is between a 3 and a 3.5. Because I really, really love the colors in it. That's what's stopping it from just being 3. I love the tweed. Especially knitted, I love the tweed. So whereas that's like just a solid 3, it's not great, it's not horrible, it's right in the middle. I would say this one's a little bit more pleasurable to work with. I had fewer issues with the manufacturing on this one, though I am hearing other people did not have the issues with the fake knots I did. There were a couple who said, yeah, I had some. But everybody who had problems actually had problems with the Buddha, and was it Shooting Star? A number of you guys mentioned you had issues with. So maybe whoever did the run, like whatever manufacturer did the runs of those colors, or whatever machines those colors were run on, maybe that's the problem. But it is a manufacturing error, and it was a repeat error. I mean, I'm not mad. It happens. I mean, that's the nature of it. So I would say this is definitely more pleasurable to work with. I enjoyed the overall effect. It was quite dense when I got, like, the 5 hook was fine, but when I got down to the 7, I mean, you can see how thick and full that is. It fits great, though. I mean, it gives you a great stretch around the curve of your head, especially if you want to wear your hat back. This one's a little bit longer, so it gives you a little bit of a slouch back there. So yeah, I would say this is probably closer after washing. I would have given this, for my preference, because I do really love roving yarns, I would have given this probably closer to a 4-star, but after washing it, for an acrylic to fuzz quite that much, this one's probably between a 3.5 and a 4. I would have expected that much haloing from like 100% merino or 100% wool. Even after hand washing it, I would have expected that more from a wool than an acrylic. This is one, though, where I do think you could shave it using a depiller, and you'd be fine if you did decide to make a sweater out of it, because this would be a really scrumptious sick day sweater. This would definitely qualify for like something to wrap up in when you're not feeling well. I was a little surprised that as much as I love it, where I ended up feeling like it fell, because it's got a lot of pros. But you do want things to hold up. You do want things to be durable. A lot of the stuff I do is donation items, which means that they're going to be general care instructions. A lot of people aren't going to take the time to hand wash stuff, even though they know it's handmade. They're going to want to be able to put it through their machine. I would not make like a baby blanket out of this, but like a baby sweater would be really soft out of it. The texture of your finished object is about what you would expect from touching the ball, which I didn't think that was something we needed to be aware of until I did the mandala tweed thing and was like, ooh, so soft. And then started to crochet it, and it's very hardy. It's very dense and stiff as you work with it. This was a little bit more hardy, but still squishy and soft. So if you find this in the store and you're touching it going, ooh, that's soft, I kind of like that, it works exactly how you would expect it to feel from the cake. Apparently the city's decided it's going to come in, or the subdivision I live in has decided it's going to come in and start doing yard work and mowing. So I'm going to go ahead and like log out. But yeah, it's better than right there in the middle, but it's still not, I'm not as excited about its versatility as I have been other things. And it is right there in the middle on the wash test for it. So 3.5 stars to 4, right there in between. It's nothing. What's a nice way to say this? I want to say it's nothing special, but it's still great. It was very nice to work with, but not, oh my God, you have to try this yarn. There you go. The colors, on the other hand, I do say, oh my God, I love the colors. I did buy a bunch of this when it launched. These are the other 4 colorways I have. This one is Wildflowers. And this one is Popular Pink, which I just love the gray and pink. I head over heels in love with the color collection. I think the whole collection is very exciting and inviting. You really want to make stuff out of the colors. The texture is very soft. It's nice to work with. I really enjoyed knitting it and crocheting it. I would definitely, this is one with the way the stitches fall into it. This is another one I would say maybe go up to a J hook on it and loosen your stitches up just a little bit, especially if you already have tight tension. Go up a hook size. Use the J instead of the I, because when you wash it, the yarn expands into the stitches quite a bit. So, and that will happen with just wear over time too. So, I mean, I liked it. There were more things about this that I enjoyed. I had to take it further than I normally would for a yarn I liked, just because I'm doing the comparative review with the 3 yarns, and I wanted to be able to compare project to project, apples to apples. But yeah, if you see it on sale, definitely buy it. It's one that I think you'll enjoy it if you like the same kinds of yarns I do. If you like soft, squishy yarns that you can just cuddle up into, and you want something, you have to care a little bit more about it when you wash it, but it's still going to be nice and squishy. I really like the hats. I have a feeling that this one will be used to make a hat and scarf for myself. I really, really like it as a hat and a scarf. Do the big squishy up around your face scarf. Anyway, they're about to get really, really loud, and I don't want you to have to listen to that. So I will be back to talk with you guys later on. Take care. I love you. Please, if you've worked with this yarn, comment down below. As so many of you guys saw in the mandala tweed review video, Your comments on these things are very important, not just for my knowledge, but also so other people can see other people's experiences. And you guys were so amazing at responding to my invitation in the Mandala Tweed Stripes video, at sharing what your experience is with it, how you enjoyed working with it. Did yours split? Did yours have faux knots? That is all amazing information for all of us to know. So thank you guys so much for commenting on that video. Please do the same thing here. If you've used this yarn and have an opinion on it, have a thought on it, had a problem with it, thought it was fantastic, I want to know. And I'm sure other people are reading through the comments. They also want to know too. And if you look at the Mandala Tweed Stripes video, you will see the responses and likes and replies to the comments of other subscribers. Once again, my channel, you guys talk to each other, and that's amazing. So definitely do the same thing with this video. Comment down below and let me know how it worked for you. What did you make out of it? What was your experience? Because it really is key to getting as much information into this sharing time as possible. But thank you guys so much. Take care. And I will see you next week, hopefully with my Premier Candy Shop review, crocheted and knitted. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you guys real soon. Bye, guys.